Hey Bootu, this is my part 2 video of The Flash Season 3 Episode 9 titled The Present. Part 2 because the last part of this episode I wanted to have more than just 2 minutes, because in my first video I was already like 12 minutes something seconds, and the most I could do was like 15 minutes and 30 seconds, and I wanted more than just a little over 2 minutes of talking for this last part. But anyway, they managed to use Julian to communicate with Savitar, and Savitar claims to Barry that Barry is the one in the future who imprisoned Savitar, and he wants to get his revenge. And he also mentions that he knows everything about the future, and this is what got me really freaked out, because he's like, oh, but in a way, in his own words, Savitar's like, oh, by the way, in the future, one member of this team will betray you all, and another member of this team will fall. So basically, and then he said a third member of this team will suffer a fate worse than death. And so I'm kind of scared, because he just told us in the future. We don't know if he's telling the truth or not. We could assume it's the truth. It's 50-50. It's either seriously the truth, like the whole thing's the truth, or he's just saying all those things to freak him out. But the fact that the things he says are a little detailed. I mean, if he's just saying things to freak him out, he could just say, oh, 3 of you die in the future, you know what I mean? That could freak all 3 of them out. They could easily believe, oh my god, 3 of us are going to die in the future, right? And he will succeed in freaking out the team, right? Because they'll be like, oh my god, who dies, right? And they'll do everything to prevent it. But he went into so much detail with this. He says, one person will die, one person will betray the team, and another person will suffer far worse than death. So, I'm leaning toward this is a more truthful statement from Savitar, only because it's more detailed. If he just wanted to scare Team Flash, he could have just said any random fact, like 3 or 4 of you will die, or 2 of you will die. He could have just said that, and that would freak out Team Flash, right? What he said about 3 members of the Team Flash, kind of more detailed to be kind of a little too detailed to be a lie, I'm just saying. But it begs the question, though, out of everyone on Team Flash. Okay, we got Barry, right? Barry, Cisco, Caitlin, HR, Wally, Joe, Iris, and, in fact, well, I want to count Julian, because Savitar was speaking through Julian's body, but I'm sticking him in there just in case. And I wouldn't say he's part of the team, but I'm still sticking him in just in case. But like 8 to 9 people. I'm counting Julian. I know he's the one being possessed by Savitar at the moment. He's not really a part of the team, but he was in the room, so I'm counting him anyway. So I'm saying 8 to 9, the 9th one being Julian. Out of those 8 to 9, one of them will betray them, one will fall, and one will suffer worse than death. And quite frankly, I'm kind of scared. With the person that betrays the team, I am 50-50 on who it might be. I think it might be either Caitlin or Cisco, only because we saw what happens with Caitlin. Remember, if she doesn't have those cuffs and she uses her powers more, a split personality takes over. Killer Frost's dark, cold, killing personality takes over. I know for a moment Barry brought Caitlin back, and now she's been wearing those bracelets, but I think it's only a matter of time where, you know, there might be a moment in the future where everyone is in trouble and Caitlin's the only one who has powers, who could help, but she's not doing anything because she has the bracelets. And I'm predicting Caitlin only because I think she might take off the bracelets and use her powers to save her friends, but unfortunately it'll turn her dark, right? And that's my prediction. And I think the only reason why she would ever take off her bracelets is because the entire team is in trouble and she's the only one left that could help and save them because she has powers, but she's not using them, right? So for the person who betrayed them, I'm either leaning 50-50 to Caitlyn, only because she might take off her bracelets to save the team, maybe later on, and she might have a choice, but to take off the bracelets and then the Killer Frost thing takes over. The other one I'm 50-50 with on who might betray the team might be Cisco. I'm thinking maybe Cisco, only because we saw how easily he broke off his friendship with Barry after learning about Dante and Flashpoint, right? And how Dante was still alive until Barry created Flashpoint. We saw how easily he cut friendship ties. And I know that during the crossover they patched things up, but it's still fresh, you know. This episode, you know, we saw Cisco struggling to spend his first Christmas without Dante. And so the ice is still very thin, you know what I mean? So we never know, Cisco might crack, especially now after seeing a fake Dante because of Savitar. He might crack, but I'm leaning toward more Caitlyn. But I have a feeling it might be someone we thought of in the beginning, but then totally thought, oh, this guy's, he's too dang goofy to pull any of that stuff off. And I'm talking about HR. In the beginning, HR, not many people trusted him because, you know, he's from a different Earth. He was very suspicious and everything. But everyone pretty much threw that out the window because he's so goofy and doesn't think of his own ideas, right? What if that I don't do my own ideas and crud is just a fake personality that HR is putting on? What if HR is like this evil super genius and he's pretending to be a goofball to throw off the entire Team Flash? He could be the one that betrayed the team. So my number one choice on who could possibly betray the team in the future is possibly Caitlyn. Only I think it might be because she had no choice but to take off her bracelets and use her powers to possibly save her friends in the future, and that's where it all goes to hell, because then she turns into Killer Frost with that personality again. My other one, number 2, would be HR, because maybe his goofy, aloof personality might be a fake persona that he's putting on so they don't know the real HR inside. He could be an evil genius, but he's pretending to be a goofy nutball to throw the team off, you know? The third one I think is Cisco because he's still unstable with Dante. That's all I'm saying. The one who suffers a fate worse than death, I want to say that might be a speedster. And I'm scared that it might be Wally, because judging by comics and animated shows so far, let me bring in an example. The animated show Young Justice. Spoiler alert for all those who have not watched Season 2, or particularly this episode in Season 2. In Season 2 of the animated show Young Justice, and I'm serious, spoiler alert, okay? If you don't want to be spoiled by this, stop watching now. There's an episode where Wally and Artemis come out of retirement to help the entire team. And Wally and Artemis end up back at headquarters, and Flash, Barry, and Impulse, Bart, they're in the Antarctic, and they're trying to get this last alien device, but unfortunately it already has activated, and they're trying to use their speed to, you know, to stop it. But unfortunately, they weren't fast enough, so Wally goes over and helps them to increase their speed and destroy this machine. And unfortunately, while they're doing that, Wally he disappears. He pretty much fades out of existence. And they all presume that he's dead. And so I am putting this in there. I'm only mentioning this because I think that it might actually happen to either this show's Wally or Barry himself. Either one of those two. I'm leaning toward more Wally because remember Wally when they're testing his speed, he is actually way faster than Barry was when he first got his speed. And so I'm thinking maybe the one whose fate worse than death might be Wally, only because I think maybe during a fight he's running so fast that he does something to himself, kind of like how Wally did something to himself in Young Justice season 2, where he pretty much disappears and fades out of existence. And I think that actually might happen to Wally, or that might actually happen to Barry. Who knows? But I think that fate worse than death is one of the two speedsters, being Wally or Barry, and I'm leaning toward more Wally. As for the one that will fall, I don't know. But it has to be someone I'm questioning. When I first heard that, I thought maybe Iris, because remember in the crossover, Barry and Oliver were in the Braille room, and Barry kept thinking that he messed up the future because that article from the future that he's reading, originally when Reverse Flash was around season 1, that article said it was written by Iris West Allen. But when Barry and Oliver were in the Braille room, looking at that article, during the crossover, it was no longer written by Iris. And Barry thought, maybe because he created Flashpoint, he screwed up Iris's future. Now, using that and then the whole someone will fall, I think it might be Iris. Maybe Iris dies, and that's why she's no longer the one writing the article, right? Unfortunately, me and my predictions, it scares the crap out of me because they wanted to end the Savitar threat. So Barry and Jay decide, in order to get rid of the box with the Philosopher's Stone, they decide to throw it into the Speed Force. Unfortunately, as Barry is throwing it into the Speed Force, Barry is thrown through time. And I was like, please tell me he did not go back in time again, but apparently he doesn't get thrown into the past, he gets thrown into the future, and not just any future, 5 months into the future. And he witnesses himself begging Savitar not to kill Iris. And when the moment I saw that, I was like, my Lord, have mercy, did my prediction about Iris come true? Because like I said, when I heard that whole one teammate will betray them, one will fall, and a third will suffer a fate worse than death, the moment I heard one would fall, I started thinking about when Barry saw the article, and I thought maybe Iris died, and maybe that's why the article is written by someone else. And then now Barry's thrown into the 5 months in the future where Savitar's holding Iris, and Barry's begging for her life. I'm like, please tell me I did not just predict right. And unfortunately for me, I did, because Savitar ends up killing Iris and Barry's too slow to save her. And Jay pulls him out and advises Barry that the future, yes, that's 5 months into the future, but the future's not fixed. That's one of many possibilities. Please don't do anything, don't be stupid. That's just one possibility. That might not even happen, right? So, I cannot believe that one of my predictions actually came true shortly after I predicted it, but I was like, okay. But, they have a Christmas party, and Julian is actually invited, and we also see Joe's girlfriend, and the cute thing is, when Joe's girlfriend's not looking, they give Wally a Christmas present, which is his own Kid Flash uniform, and Julian actually does manage to go to the Christmas party after, rejecting the offer in the beginning, and as a Christmas gift, he gives Barry's job back to him. And the cute thing at the end, though, was Barry gave a Christmas present to Iris, and apparently that Christmas gift is he rented a new apartment for the both of them to live together, which I thought was cute. So I can't believe that one of my predictions actually came true just moments after I predicted it. One person that will fall in the future, I predicted Iris, only because of the future article not being written by her anymore. And here's Barry being thrown 5 months in the future and witnessing itself. But one question, how did Savitar come back? Because they threw the Philosopher's Stone through the Speed Force. How'd he come back? Anyway, that was a really good episode. I'm looking forward for it to come back. So that's my part 2 of The Flash Season 3, Episode 9, Titled The Present. Merry Christmas.